All right, so we're in here working on the 59 again. If you guys are new to the channel, 59 Coronet, we're just giving it a new paint job, going through repairing some rust and some troubled areas, nothing major. I got the window out just like we did on the other side, and I'm just kind of digging out all the crud and the old window sealant, all that stuff. Get all this cleaned up really nice, just like we did over on the other side. We're going to fix a couple of rust holes, and we're going to treat the rusted areas behind it, which is just mostly surface rust. That's about it. No rust holes except for this outer panel. And then we're going to jump down here and we're going to fix this panel here. This has got some interstructural damage, and we're going to have to kind of dig deep on that one. So anyway, kind of saved the best for last. This was the most, in-depth part of the repair, I think. This is the worst of it. So we'll get in there and fix it up. Kind of making me a little template here to cut out my patch panel. Before we close this up, I just wanted to show you guys that yes, we did get in here and treat all of this. I wanted to do it while this was open, just little extra access, to get in there with the tubes and everything and get all of that rust encapsulator and everything down inside of there really well. I've got a couple little patches made up for it. My first one is this piece here, and it's going to fit right inside of here like this. Like so, right? And then we got another piece here, and that piece obviously is going to go right there. So let's get all that closed up, and then we'll get in there again. This time we'll have to go through the trunk, because once it's closed, obviously we can't get in there no more. But that's all right. We can still get up through here like this with our tubes and treat the whole back side of this after we're done welding in. It's the same thing that we did over here on the other side. We did that in a previous video. If you guys missed it, go check it out. But I think it looks just fine. I think it'll work just fine. Shouldn't be any more issues with rust or anything like that. Okay, so there it is. We've got the patch in. And like I said before, we'll get underneath there and we'll spray all of our stuff all up underneath the underside of it, just in case anything burned off underneath there, which I'm sure it did. And we'll coat the whole inside of that quarter panel. We like to get it going to the point that it's oozing out of the trim holes. Alright, since I had a brand new wire wheel, I figured I'd get in here and get some of this paint off in the areas that I hadn't hit yet. And I've got all this area nice and ready to go. And I think what I'm going to have to do on this, since this is so bad right here, for those of you that don't know, this is an inner structure. This all goes behind the actual panel. When we weld all of this shut, we won't be able to get to this anymore, obviously. So we got to get in there and attack that now. The only thing I know to do is to actually remove this whole area. So what I'm going to do, this quarter panel actually sits right on top of this jamb. There's actually a seam right here where it just sits right on top of it. There's a few spot welds here and there through here. There's some more through here. Some coming up from the bottom through here, and then of course along through here inside of this wheel well. I only need to expose this lower area. So what I'll probably do, you can see it's kind of damaged right here. That's some old damage that they had covered up with filler work, and we ground it all out. So what I'll do is I'll probably come up just above that, maybe right in this area. We'll make our cut here, and then the rest is just a matter of drilling out those spot welds all the way around this. It separates right here as well. This is a separate panel here from the rocker panel. This is our problem area. We need to get in there. So I don't know any other way to do it. So I'm going for it. We'll try to go just shy of going through that next layer. There we go. We'll be kind of gentle with it. We want to keep it in its shape the best we can. Of course, once we go to put it back on, we'll be able to bend it around as needed. Just start out with our 1/8 inch bit. That's our pilot, and you don't even go through the second layer, just the first layer only. Just kind of create a little divot. Okay, I'm gonna try to show this to you. Hopefully the lighting's good enough. Basically, we've broken through the first layer only, which is the outer skin, the only part we're removing. That's all we're trying to do here. We'll do that all the way up. Looks like I might have missed a weld there. I wasn't sure if there was one there or not. That's okay, that happens. Let's go ahead and get it now. Oh yeah, there we go. All right, we're free now. Okay, so we just about got all the spot welds broke loose. I'm gonna go ahead and cut right here. That's where we're gonna separate it. We'll get these broke loose next. There it is. Look at that. Being a little stubborn on this side. There we got it. So there's the reason why we needed to get all that opened up. We definitely didn't want to leave any of that behind, that's for sure. So down in these lower areas, anywhere around where the wheel spins, obviously, and all that water, it just gets in there and it gets trapped between the panels, and this is what you can end up with, that right there. So now that we got everything opened up, we could get in there and we can cut all the old stuff out, weld in new stuff, and of course treat the good metal that's been left behind. All that's just surface rust. All we got to do is brush that off, spray our coatings in there, we'll be fine. But that, of course, has to be cut out and replaced. All right, so that looks a lot better. Looks a little more treatable, right? Looks like we probably had a critter living in there somewhere. Lots of insulation and stuff. You know, that was a big hole there for a while, so who knows how long he might have been living in there. But he just got evicted. He's out of there, and now we can weld all that up. I think now would be as good a time as any to get in here and cut all this crap out of here. So before I weld all this shut, I want to get in here with my internal frame coating. This stuff is supposed to be supposed to lock this rust in place. It's supposed to kill it, stop it dead in its tracks, and I sure hope so, because that's exactly what we're needing with this stuff. I've never used it before, but people swear by it, so that's what we're using. And I am just hosing this thing down. I mean, for real. I mean, here, let me give you a shot just in case anybody that hasn't seen this stuff. It's going to go everywhere, so here we go. Watch. I mean, you can see how it sprays out of there from all directions. So if you were to run this down inside of this rocker and then pull it back out as you're spraying, it's going to coat the inside of that rocker. You can also take this and hook it on maybe the end of a hanger or something like that and be able to run it down in there a little bit better. I've actually taken 2 of these tubes and put them together before and hooked it to a hanger, and I can run it all the way down inside of that rocker panel, and it works really well. But for now, this is how we're doing it, just in this little area here. I like to get it in there really well till it's practically running out all over the floor. Get some all in here too. This would be a good spot for it. So far, we've been coming from in here going this way, and now with this being opened up, I could come in from here and go that way. Yeah, between the two, we should have all of this covered, no problem at all. I'm going to run that tube all the way up in here, and it should reach probably about right in here. And then, like I said, from there on, we've already done from the other direction. Look at that. Oh, man, that is awesome. Run it in these trim holes. Don't worry, we can wipe all that off later. You can sand this off too. It sands super easy. All right, we'll go with that. As you can see, man, we definitely got it in there really good. I don't see how it could ever rust again. So we got ourselves a little bit of a situation here. We got some Swiss cheese. Did you guys see all of that? It looked like insulation or something that I was blowing out of there with the air hose. Apparently something has made a nest inside of there. Remember, they had a big rust hole here to go in and out of. And they built a nest in here. I've been trying to blow it all out. I'll probably have to get in there with something, see if I can drag some more of it out. But that nest kind of went all the way up in here, right to this area. And you can see that's right where the rust holes start. And I can actually still see something kind of inside of there. So I know there's more. So we'll get in there, we'll get all that cleaned out of there. And it stops here. You know, from here back, we got these little holes, and it looks like that once you clean it all up. So it's got to get fixed. We got to replace that spot. From here on, which is about where the 2 doors meet, from here forward, it looks fine. I'm going to go ahead and clean the whole rocker panel off just to see exactly what we're dealing with, because if we're going to have to replace it, we're going to do it now, which obviously we got to replace this area for sure. But I need to know how much of it I need to replace. Do I need to just put the whole thing in, or just go from here to here? What? And if we're going to do it, we're going to do it at the same time that we do all of this, because they do meet right here. And actually, this piece overlaps this piece here. So we would actually have to fix this piece first. So let's get in there and see exactly what we're working with. I hope it stops here. If not, we'll be probably putting the whole thing in. Let's find out. So obviously that's garbage. That's all got to go. That is Swiss cheese. So we've gotten up here toward the front wheel, and we've got holes up here too. That's eaten through all the way through here. I think I'm just going to cut it out. Just cut it out and get rid of it. I mean, if it's so bad it's got holes, coming through, then you know that metal's in pretty bad shape. So, and I don't want to go through and sit and try to patch each one of these little spots. I mean, you'd be better off just to cut it out and put another one in. Yeah, I'd say we definitely got some stuff in there. What do y'all think? Let's open her up. Oh man, look at all that. That's what's been holding our moisture. That's what's been causing our rust holes. All right, so let's go ahead and get the rest of this cut open, get all of that mess cleaned out of there, and then this won't be an issue anymore. Okay, so I think we made the right decision going ahead and cutting that out of there. What do you think? This stuff right here came from that carpet. Somebody's put house carpet in here at one point, and mice used it to make a nest out of, and it made a great nest. Unfortunately, that stuff holds moisture, and that's been holding moisture for years, and that explains why that whole area is just full of pinholes. I mean, we could go through, we could grind it down, we could slap some mud in there. It'll look great for about 6 months, and that stuff's going to start chipping out of there. The rust is going to start bubbling back through. So in a situation like this, you're better off just to go ahead and cut it out. I know up toward the front of the car, it wasn't quite so bad. This is all just surface rust, and the metal feels really, really solid. But when you get back here toward the back, that stuff is really, really thin. Swiss cheese, just like we said. Better off just to go ahead and replace. I mean, if you're going to replace that much of it, which in this case we probably would have went up to about right in here, you might as well go ahead and just put it all in there, man. Now I got a piece out here that I think is going to be long enough for the whole rocker panel. That is the side of a work van. I think it'll be more than big enough for what we need. Okay, so I'm in here. I got my piece cut out. I'm just kind of trimming back. The way I like to do it is I like to cut just outside of the magic marker and then grind back to it, and that's what I'm doing on this side here. I've already done this side. I grind just to the point to where the line is still showing, and that's it. And you can see here where I've still got to grind back to it just a little bit. That way we can fine tune it, kind of sneak up on it like we've been talking about, and get it to fit just right. And then of course I'll go through and I'll work all this old decals and old paint and things like that, get it down to bare metal. I've just been using my flapper disc for this. Works really well. All right, so like I mentioned before, our rocker panel has a slight curve. Our replacement panel does not. So I took an old drive shaft and I just kind of clamped it to this drive shaft. And I think if we go through here, we could probably kind of bend that over this drive shaft just slightly, because it doesn't need much, and kind of get that curve. All right, so I think I'm gonna take my 2x4 here and just kind of use it to apply some even pressure and just kind of work this down ever so slightly. Try to do it evenly and try not to go past your work area here. can see we're starting to get our shape there. Look at that. All right, that's cool. I can feel it too. So, all right, we'll move our clamp on down and get this ready. And you know, once we get it like this, and see how this is starting to get kind of rigid, that's because you're putting that little curve in it. It'll stop this floppiness. So we'll continue on just like that, and we'll have our replacement piece dialed in pretty good here in just a minute. Okay, y'all, so I think we've got ourselves a rocker panel patch. I think that's gonna get it. I think it'll work just fine. All brand new metal, no more holes. It'll be great. So let's go ahead and start getting our we got to get all this stuff over here prepped and ready. We've got to grind all the surrounding surface, deburr all the edges, scrape out any crud, all that good stuff, just like we always do. And I'll probably get in there and treat some of the area while it's open, and then we'll cap it off. Let's take this opportunity to get some of our stuff up in here. This is that internal frame coating. And man, this stuff comes out and really gets in there and just coats everything. Just wanted to take this opportunity to really get it in between those two panels where they meet, the pinch weld. Let that stuff just kind of run down in between there. See it running out of the pinch weld there. All right, that's what I'm trying to do all the way through here. You can see right in there. Just letting it run right down in between those two panels. Right where that pinch weld meets together. That's the pinch weld there. Let's get some more in there. I should be able to finish it off with just the regular spray cap. Alright, so about 957 welds later, we have a rocker panel welded in place. Now we'll have to go back and finish weld it. But we still got some patching to go. I'm going to pull off on some of that welding for now and get over here and do some of this welding and get that closed up so that we can weld that piece back on. Alright, so after taking a full day detour doing the rocker panel, we weren't expecting to have to replace, do any patching on the rocker panel, but here we are. We've got everything coated. All we need to do is put this back in. I did a little metal work, kind of knocked some of that out, so we won't have to put as much filler in this time. I even went through and welded the holes shut from where they did that old school bodywork, where they drill the holes in the panel and then screw the dent puller in to pull the dent out, and then you're left with a hole. That's fine, but it's kind of nice to weld the holes shut when you're done, and they didn't. They just filled it full of mud, but we don't have that problem anymore. So anyway, I've gone through and I've welded all my spot weld holes shut, where I drilled my spot welds out. Kind of went through a few times, not a big deal. Welded those shut, grind them down, and we're going to stick this back on here, and there we are, back where we started. Alright, so we're going to make ourselves a patch panel for that. I'll go ahead and get this all tacked back into place first, and then we'll get started on that. There we go. Want to line up our door gap, make sure we're in the right spot. This matches nice. Got a good gap all the way down. I think we're there. As far as up and through here, we'll have to use screws. There's nowhere to clamp it, so that's okay. A few sheet metal screws in the right places. We'll get this all on here nice and tight. We want to kind of iron this out, make sure that this is nice and flat on onto this other surface like it's supposed to be. And then we'll have to put some seam sealer in there when we're done later. You see what I mean about making sure that's all ironed out? We'll put a screw there, maybe a couple in there. Get this all tack welded back on. Got me a couple screws in there holding that just in the right place. I've got another one up under here. It's kind of sucking that up to that panel, which is exactly what we want right there. That's looking good. But I got this here and I don't like that. We're gonna have to get a way to kind of bend that down in there just a hair. We want that to be a nice tight fit, and then we'll zip a screw in there and help hold it until we can weld it. I think if I was to take, this is kind of a door skinning tool. We use this to kind of fold the edge over on the doors when we're putting a door skin on. You see how a door skin, this is the back side of the door obviously, how the edge folds over the shell of the door. Well, this hammer is designed specially for that. The way that's angled, you're able to kind of come in and fold that edge over all the way around. Works very well. I think if I were to get this, kind of turn my hammer upside down and put it in here like this, it kind of fits in there just right. And then we'll hit this in with another hammer, and I think we'll be able to drive that in. Might be asking why I'm not using a drill. Well, I don't like to twist my screw off, and when you're dealing with sheet metal, it's very easy to screw that in and zip it, and that's it. You're done. You stripped your hole out and you got to move over and drill another hole. In fact, that's exactly what happened right here. See, I got a hole there. That's an extra hole I gotta weld shut. I had to move my hole because I stripped that one out with a drill. So sometimes it pays just to slow down a little bit, but look at there, we got that nice tight fit. I think that'll work. So I think I'll just go ahead and start welding, get all this tacked up, and then we'll start making our patch after that. Okay, so let's try this out. I got me a piece of paper here. It's a little bit thicker than just regular paper, so I think it ought to work pretty good. I'm just gonna stick this right over my repair area here, probably hold it in. A couple little magnets like that maybe. I don't know, let's see if we can get it straightened up here just right. Want our paper to kind of form to the shape of the panel a little bit. I think what I'll do is I'll come in through here and I'll just kind of rub around this edge. Hopefully you can see that. Can you see where that's literally the edge of the repair area underneath. Kind of come through here, see that? Kind of folding that edge over. We'll kind of come out this way. Something like that. Kind of start to see the shape of our repair area underneath there. That's kind of what we're going to do all the way through here. Might have to kind of adjust our magnets a little bit as we go, something like that. Try to keep your paper in the same position. You don't want your paper moving around on you. See if we can't get that shape there. Come through here, something like that. Look at that. I'll keep working at this till I get my shape all the way around like I need. I need to grab me a few more magnets, help kind of hold that on. You can see the edge forming there, and I've got this kind of going all the way around, down through here, following the repair area. Under here, I had to cut me a little slot from a C-clamp there. And under here, right about in this area, it comes back this way. So, kind of run my finger along that edge. This will give us kind of a little bit of a representation of what our patch needs to be. And of course, we'll cut it out a little bit bigger just to make sure. All right, we'll start with that and we'll start trimming it back till it fits. So here's the beginnings of my patch panel. Got it all cut out. Obviously it's not the right shape, way too flat, right? So this is why you want to make your panel a little bit bigger than it needs to be, because by the time you bend it around to fit in all of these curves and contours, you could end up with a piece that's too small. So we cut our panel just slightly too big. We're going to get it kind of clamped in there, kind of bend it around. A lot of this you could just do by hand. I mean, it's not really hard at all. In fact, I could probably go right here, put this on here, and just kind of push in right here. Just kind of work that in. And just right off the bat, we're already starting our shape. So, and like I said, you want to keep it kind of, a little bit too big at first. See if I could throw me a clamp right here. Kind of help hold that in place while I work the rest of this on around. Another thing you could do is you could probably throw a little heat at this. Warm this up a little bit, probably help bend it around a little better. Something else I could do is I could probably come in and throw a little tack weld there, and just kind of work this on around. But I think I want to do a little more bending first. I want to kind of work my curve into this area before I do all of that. So far this is actually working pretty well. Let's see if I can throw me another clamp under here. So I got me a chunk of pipe here. I think this might be like 3.5 inch, maybe 4 inch, probably a 4 inch in diameter, and it kind of slightly resembles the curvature that's in that rocker panel, and I want to match that out here because that's obviously not the right shape. I mean, we're going to do most of this by hand, y'all. I mean, it's pretty simple. Just get in here and just kind of bend your piece over and get your spoon, get in here and just kind of slap around on it. Stuff like that. I mean, you see how fast that happens? I mean, this is with no heat or anything. Works really quick. We want that shape to be kind of not just out on the end, we need it to be kind of throughout this area. And then, you got your little curvature there that kind of comes right around in this area and starts to kind of die off as it goes down into here. So you've got a bend going this way. You got kind of a bend going this way. Of course, this up here kind of has a slight curve to it. So you got a lot going on here, but they're subtle. And these are the perfect kind of shapes that are really easy to kind of start out on. If you're just, if this is the first time you've ever done a project this involved and you're doing your own patch panels, this is good stuff to start on. I mean, this is simple. We're banging on a chunk of pipe, I mean, there's nothing, nothing's, big time high tech going on here. And this will look just fine when it's done. Look how it's starting to fit, y'all. We got a nice fit all the way across here. Of course, we'll have to trim it all up. This is why we made it a little bit too big. Remember, we're going to go back, and once we get everything bent and in shape, we'll go back and we'll trim it all to where it's all perfectly just the thickness of the blade only, and then we'll have something to go back and weld to. So I'm trying to kind of dent this in a little bit. All I've been doing is putting some heat to it with my heat gun. I mean, I'm not even using a torch or anything. And I'm taking a socket. I've got it in my vice grips here, and I'm just laying it right there, and I'm just kind of going through and just tapping that. And little by little, I'm working a little bit of a valley in there. And remember, it kind of dies out through this area here. So I'm just about there already. You can use just about anything for a dolly. I'm going to use the curve inside of this trailer hitch as a low spot to kind of recreate that valley. It don't need much more. It's working out. Check it out. Got our little curve there. Got our little indentation coming in through here where it just kind of fades out toward the bottom. I think that'll work. It's getting there. We'll just keep going. I'm just kind of going back and forth, kind of just doing a little here, and I'm over here kind of doing some more. If I got to work my edge, you know, if I got to come back and do any of this, you know. Pretty easy, just work back and forth until, I mean, and you don't have to beat on this stuff. Just a little goes a long ways. See where that gets us. All right, y'all, what do you think? There it is, all tacked in. Got a lot of welding left to do. I mean, a lot of welding. That all has to be welded in solid. You can't just leave it, you know, tacked in, you know, with your tacks all spaced out like that. We have to weld that in solid. It's a lot of skipping around. You weld a little here, a little here, a little over there, and you just skip around so that you don't get any particular area too hot. It causes a lot of warpage, because then that'll cause a lot more body work, and we don't want that. Now, when I came out here this morning, I thought for sure we were going to come in, we were going to patch that spot, we were going to pop these doors off, strip down this jamb, and prime in what we have left, which is just that quarter panel and this jamb. But unfortunately, we ran into a little bit of a snag, and that happens. That's how these projects are a lot of the time. So I think when we come back, all of that will be completely welded in. All of the welds will be finished, all ground down real nice and smooth. We'll get our filler work done, and we'll have this thing primed in and ready to go. How does that sound? I'm ready to move on to paint. And you know what? Speaking of paint, our paint came in the other day. Here's the pearl, and here's the blue. Look at that. Look how pretty that looks. I would open this, you guys, with that. Look how damaged it came in. I can guarantee you that's not going to reseal, so I'm terrified to open that up until we're actually ready for it. So that's all we could do right there. That's our color. Here's our pearl, kind of an ivory white. I love that color. I think those are going to look very, very good together. So a little something to look forward to. We're almost there. I mean, we've already blocked the roof out. Roof's ready to go, just to clean it up. Next video, blocking, I don't know, maybe some painting, I don't know. Maybe we'll start with the white. Maybe we'll knock the white out in one video and then move on to the blue in another video to kind of do a little two-part series. So I don't know. Kind of figuring it out as I go. We're only doing this on our spare time, what little bit we got, so we kind of play it by ear. So we'll figure it out. You guys leave me a comment. What do you want to see? How do you want me to do it? Do you want me to do it, split it up into two-part series, or what? We'll probably have to, because these videos get super long after a while. Speaking of which, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here, you guys. I will see you next time. Please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I really appreciate everybody, all the support. This has been a really good series, and I've had a lot of fun with it, like I mentioned before. So anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.